Discover your inner goddess and live up to your highest value and most abundant potential. Welcome to Grateful Goddesses, a podcast that empowers you to unleash your inner goddess and take the leap of faith to live your best life. Your guide, Karen Pulver, joins her fellow goddesses in soulful conversations about gratitude, personal growth, authentic living, and a bevy of topics affecting women today. Let's start the show with your host, Karen Pulver.
Our guest today is Bongai Mhloyi, Miss B. She was born and raised in Zimbabwe. She came to the USA with her husband to attend college with the thought of returning to Zimbabwe right after graduation. Well, she is still here. She knew from a very young age that she had a compassion for people, especially girls. Well, the reason is, as a young girl, when she was about 11 or 12, she witnessed a child marriage in her family. Her 75-year-old grandfather was living with a girl the same age as her, and she was his wife because her father had married her off to her grandfather, to Bongai's grandfather, in exchange for 10 cows. The terror in her face did not need any explanation. In 1990, Bongai got her BA in social relations, and then a few years later, she got her MA in special ed. After working in social services for more than 20 years, she started a nonprofit organization, American African Youth Leadership Foundation, AAYLF, in 2010. She wanted to work with American youth as well as youth in Zimbabwe. In Coastville, Chester County, she teaches young girls etiquette, social graces, leadership skills, and more. She gives them tools necessary for their success. AAYLF helps underdeserved and impoverished communities in Zimbabwe by empowering vulnerable girls, child orphans, through education and social skills. She gives scholarships to girls, or they give scholarships to girls so that they can stay in school instead of getting married off to much older men. AAYLF goals are dedicated to end childhood marriages through education. They believe that no girl should be robbed of her childhood and her education and health and her aspirations. AAYLF funds orphans and at-risk girls from the poorest sections of Zimbabwe so that they can attend school. Their program will cover all the costs, including tuition, books, transportation, nutritious meals, and in some cases, they will provide housing so that girls can escape childhood marriages and further their education while living in a healthy environment. AAYLF provides full funding to girls to stay in school and attend college so they can escape the threat of child marriage and have the opportunity to live an independent, self-sustaining life. Since 2010, they have impacted more than 250 girls. Bongai is very happy with her work, and she is always looking for partners to sponsor the girls. If you sponsor a girl for 1 year, you will get her picture, her story, and her school progress throughout the year. It costs $25 monthly donation to keep a girl in high school for a year. $100 will pay for 1 semester for a high school girl, and $300 will pay for a whole year for high school for a girl. $500 pays for college tuition for 1 semester, $1,000 pays for a whole year of college, and $350 will pay for 1 semester of culinary school. $1,050 will pay for a whole year of culinary school. They hope to challenge the rigid cultural norms that promote gender discrimination and child marriages in Zimbabwe. The motto is, touching tomorrow's leaders today. Visit their website, www.endchildmarriages.org, to get more info on their work and how you can get involved. Welcome, everyone, to Grateful Goddesses. I have the privilege and honor of speaking with this beautiful young lady, Moreen. She is in Zimbabwe, and her story is absolutely incredible. We're here to listen to your story. Moreen, can you tell us about you and how you are so resilient and here today to talk about your story?
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Moreen Mhloyi, and I'm 30 years old. I would say I'm a recipient of AAYLF by Miss B. It's an organization that helps girls escape child marriages, that help girls go through school. So I was very fortunate to be part of the AAYLF. So AAYLF took me through from high school up to my tertiary education, actually. So I'm now a business management degree holder, and I'm married. I have 2 kids. So like I started being an administrator at a private wedding venue, but now I'm now an entrepreneur. I'm into kids clothing and interior designing. So like AAYLF impacted in my life in a great way. I'm very thankful for what they have done in my life. They changed my life completely. They gave me the future. They gave me everything that I wanted, because many of us in Zimbabwe, we don't have the opportunity to excel, to do what we want, to be who we are, to do great in life because of some challenges that we face here in Africa. So I'm grateful for this organization. They changed my life. Right now, AAYLF is doing a great job to help other girls. I'm also helping sponsoring a girl in high school, because I really appreciated it. I saw the importance of sponsoring a girl, giving a girl a future, giving a girl a hope. So I'm very thankful for the organization. They are doing an amazing job. They changed me. Look at me. I'm now an entrepreneur.
That's
Something
incredible.
that I'm really, really thankful to the organization. So I thank you.
So you talk about challenges when you were younger, and you talk about your dreams. Can you go back and tell us, like I'm not sure when, you said in high school, but can you go back and talk to us a little bit about those challenges for young girls? What is it like for 10, 11, 12-year-old girls in Zimbabwe?
Like the challenges that face these girls, it's heartbreaking. Sometimes when you don't have the money for school fees, like some parents, they can opt for getting you married off to some old guys. They can actually take you to do like being a housemaid, doing all sort of odd things. Like a girl needs something that will help her to escape these things. So it's quite difficult. We face challenges like money problems. Like in my situation, my parents were not working, both of them. They were not going to work, so they were struggling to put me to school. So that's when the organization came in to help me. So the Zimbabwean girls, like African girls, face so many challenges. Being married off, going to work at an early stage. Some others, they can be child-headed families at an age of 9 years or 14 years, depending on the situation. So it's quite heartbreaking, the challenges that face these girls. So AAYLF is helping those girls escape those hassles, those challenges.
When you were 9 or 10, did you see this happening around you? Like obviously in your family, you said both your parents didn't work. Were they considering doing that? Like was that something, looking back, that you actually witnessed when you were younger?
Yeah, some of my family members, some of them, they get married off at an age of 12 years to some old guy, them 50 years old. Like my other cousin was sent to go to work to be a maid. I experienced those things. Like my challenge was like my parents were now saying, if like we are now struggling to get you into school, so I think it's better for you to stay at home. So I thought I was now vulnerable to the certain situation of getting married off or doing all sort of things, maybe drugs or anything, so that I'll be preoccupied because I was not going to school that time. So like those are the challenges that I actually faced when I was at that age.
Yeah, it's incredible the empowerment that the organization has enabled all of these girls. Well, Bongai is definitely an incredible woman. Oh, Bongai, I mean, what you are doing is just absolutely incredible. Can you share with us your story?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come here and share my story. So again, my name is Bongai Mhloyi. I am the African Youth Leadership Foundation. So I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and just like Moreen was saying, growing up, I also witnessed child marriages in my family. When I said I witnessed it, my grandfather, my mother's father, he was 75 at the time, and I was about 11, 12. And we saw this young lady coming to stay at my grandfather's house. And my sisters and I, my brothers, were all wondering, what is this girl doing here? We thought, oh, maybe she's our relative, only to find out that she was married off by her parents to my 75-year-old grandfather. But she was about the same age as we were. So I saw her coming to stay with my grandfather, and my mother would tell us all these things that, her parents married her off. So as a child, we all know what, 11-year-olds, 12-year-old girls want to do. All we need to do was to play outside, go to school, just play like, any normal girl will do. But this young girl, she was not allowed to play outside with us because now she has to take herself as somebody's wife. But she is a child herself. So as we were playing outside, we were doing what, playing rope, jumping rope, playing with our dolls. My grandmother, my mother's mother, will call her back in the house because she could not do what we were doing as children, because now she's a married woman. So she has to come back, and she would be crying all the time. So that really broke my heart, and witnessing that, it's not something that you can easily forget. So I never forget that part.
Bongai, what you're doing is incredibly honorable. We have lots of questions for both of you. I'd love my featured goddesses to join us now. We have Alyssa and Camille. Alyssa, would you like to start?
Hi, I'm so grateful to talk to you guys today, and thank you for being here, Moreen, especially you. I know we've got a big time change, and you being in Zimbabwe. Bongai, I wanted to talk to you. So just continuing on this journey, I mean, what you witnessed with your grandfather and this young girl, it's really unbelievable, and especially for people here in the U.S. to sort of hear stories like this. I don't think many people are aware of just how young these girls are when they're getting married. But your story, so take us forward to sort of you coming to this country. How old were you? And how were you able to sort of, for lack of better words or understanding, sort of escape that fate of being married off and then come here to the U.S.?
Okay, that's a great question. Unfortunately, it's a very long story, and I will try to shorten it as much as I can. So after witnessing that, the good part about this story was the girl ended up running away 2 years later. And thank God she didn't have children with my 75-year-old grandfather. So she ran out. She actually planned to run away, and she was telling us. And we promised that we'll never tell our grandfather that she's planning to run away, which we never told him. So she ran away. We don't know where she went. And up to this day, I never knew what happened to her. And then in my own family, my mother and father had 11 children. We were 8 girls and 3 boys. And I would say I consider myself to be lucky because my family, we were not rich, we were not poor, but my own family, my mother and father, they were really pro-education. They didn't want to do what the other people were doing, to marry off their girls and send them off to older men. So my father and my mother, they sent all of us to school. My sisters and my brothers, we all got a higher education. So as I grew up, grew older, I met my husband. I wasn't married off. Nobody picked my husband. I met my husband, by myself. And we got married when I was in Zimbabwe. We had our first child when I was in Zimbabwe. Fortunately, my husband's family also, his brother was here in the United States. And he arranged for my husband to also come and join him to get a degree, which he did, and I followed as well. And we both went to school. I got my bachelor's degree. I got my master's degree. My husband did as well. So as I, finished my education and start to get a professional job, I went to school for social work. And I never forget that story. And I never forget these children, because I also witnessed some of my friends, the friends that I went to school with, some of them were dropping out of school because of poverty in their families. Some were married off because of poverty again in their families. And the family, most of these people who marry off their children is not because they want to, but because of the situation and the cultural belief in the rural areas of Zimbabwe. They think that if you educate a girl, you are actually wasting your money. You need to educate a boy so that he can stay home, he can get a professional job, and carry on the family name as a man. But as a girl, once she gets married, she's off to another family. So a lot of families, they still believe that they need to just educate a boy. And these girls, just because they were born a girl, doesn't make them any less a person, doesn't make them less than a boy. They're just as good as a boy. So growing up, witnessing all this, when I came here, and actually, from the very young age, I knew in my heart that my passion is to work with people, especially girls. I wanted to empower them. As I was getting empowered as well, I wanted to empower other people. So I was working, and then as I was spending my money, I would send money to people that I knew, people that I grew up with, people that are in my community in Zimbabwe that I knew that they were struggling to send their children to school. So I just started sending them school fees and keep their children in school, especially the girls. So as time went on, I just, figured, okay, since I'm impacting these girls, why not starting a nonprofit organization? So in 2010, that's when I registered my work as a nonprofit 501c3. And then that way I can do it legitimately. I registered in Pennsylvania where I live. I can do events, fundraising events. I can solicit donations so that people can help me, because the need is so much. By yourself, you can never do it by yourself. So you need other people to help you. There's actually this African proverb that I like a lot. I always talk about it. It goes like, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. So I just want to, make my story known, tell everybody that can give me an ear to listen, and let's go together. That way we can impact as many girls as we can. We can see Moreen here, how she is now. She's an entrepreneur, but if you follow her back, going back, knowing her story, like she said, her parents were, way older. They were not able to send her to school. So if we're not able to send her to school, her life now could be just like darkness. Can you imagine if she didn't have an education, married off to a 70-year-old guy? By now, most of the, older guys that married these young children, they die before the girl is even old enough to be an adult. So she is in a double jeopardy now. She's left alone to raise these children. The guy is dead. So she has no skills. She has no education, no job. So how is she supposed to support herself and support these children? So that's why it's important that, we do as much as we can to help these girls so that they can be independent, they can support. Like right now, Moreen, of course we want her to stay married, but God forbid if something happens, she's working, she can support herself, she can support her children, she can send her children to school. And another thing that I really like is that if you educate a girl, you better believe that you are educating a generation. So in Moreen's case, we educated her. We know for sure that she's going to educate her children. We know for sure that she's going to make sure that her grandchildren will get an education. So the cycle of poverty is broken right there. We broke it. Now she's going to continue educating her children and her children's children. So that's, one good thing about that.
It's amazing, and what a story, your own story. And Moreen, I'm so curious to learn, how did you find AAYLF and Bongai?
Okay, also when I had a friend in high school. So one of my friends is the one who introduced me to the organization. So I took the process of going to the teachers. There was one teacher who helped me so that I'll be part of AAYLF. So that's how I found AAYLF. I was very fortunate to find AAYLF and help me to go through school.
Well, that seems like it was a very fortunate introduction for you, and certainly changed your life, your children's lives, and as Bongai said, generations of women to follow. So I'm as I said before, I'm just so happy to meet you both and for you guys to be able to share your story on our show.
And Camille, one of our featured goddesses, has a 12-year-old daughter. So I can't imagine, Camille, what you're thinking right now. Can you share?
Thank you so much for sharing your story. And not only can I not imagine it for my own 12-year-old daughter, but there's so many times in the news you'll see of different girls here that are trafficked or kidnapped or maybe to settle out of debt with maybe like drugs involved or so on. But it's not something that's out in the open, that's accepted, that's considered part of everyday culture, as far as like your grandfather being able to be married to someone openly as a 12-year-old girl. And I'm curious, what was your relationship like with your grandfather after that? Did you feel like some different? I mean, I just, like here it's definitely criminal. So then when when she was brought home to your home, I know you mentioned what it was like for you and her relationship, but I was curious, how did that change as far as with your parents, and did they ever address it at all? Or even with your grandfather, did you, especially after she ran away, if it was ever addressed?
Thank you for that question. So growing up, this is something that we see not on a daily basis, but it's quite common. And when it happens, it's not a shock. Sometimes you just get shocked that it's happening in your family, but it's happening next door, it's happening in the next community. So I grew up seeing this, but I never thought that is what it was going to happen in my own family. And especially knowing that my parents, they were against that kind of thing. And then to see my grandfather going, doing that, it was a shock, but it really didn't change my relationship with my grandfather. I just couldn't imagine, I couldn't believe that he would do something like that. And as a 12-year-old, thinking about that, it actually grossed me out. I'm like, how in the world can this girl go and sleep with this old man? Because you can imagine, especially you, Camille, you said you have a 12-year-old girl. And at that age, when they see even somebody who is 50 years old, they think that they are so old, they don't even know anything. But for a 12-year-old to be in the same room with a 75-year-old man, I mean, myself, I couldn't process that. And we were actually asking our mother that, can he at least give this young girl to his own son, who was a little bit younger? He was still older, but he was at least, I think he was like 30 years old at that time. And my grandfather would say, no, I'm the one who took my 10 cows and gave to her family, so she's mine. I'm not giving him to my son. And she was talking to us and saying, I just need to get out of here. I don't care where I go, but I just need to get out of here. And we'll say, yeah, go ahead, we'll help you. But as far as my relationship with my grandfather, I mean, it stays the same. I just couldn't, at that age, I couldn't process, especially for my grandmother, because my grandmother kind of welcomed her. But again, you have to remember, this was a norm in their generation. It wasn't something out of the ordinary. So it was kind of normal. But when you think about it, at this time and age, it's abnormal. But at that particular time and in that, area, it was something normal. So she embraced it. My grandmother actually took her and kind of treated her like she was treating us. Because remember, we were about the same age with this girl. So she kind of took her as her own granddaughter, and she would do whatever it takes to make sure that she's comfortable. But when it comes to her sleeping with my grandfather, there was nothing else she could have done. It had to happen because that's what was there. She had to do that.
Heartbreaking thinking about it. Thank you for sharing.
And myself at 12 years old, I still wasn't a woman. I mean, I didn't get my period till much later even. So some of these girls haven't menstruated yet, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't mean to be blunt, but it's like they're still children.
They are still children. I also remember, I think I shared with you, Karen, before that I got my cycle at a later age. I think I was 12 or 13 when I got my period. So this girl, let's say she was in the same situation. Now she's forced to sleep with a person, and she's not even, mature enough to sleep with anybody in that age. And some of these girls, they end up with sexual transmitted diseases. They end up with all sorts of health issues because of what they are going through with these old men. And they are not at a position where they can say no, because they're still very immature. They don't even know how to think for themselves. A lot of these children, and I think about it, like some of the girls that I see now, at age 12, you still need to remind her to wash her underwear. You still need to remind her to brush her teeth before she goes to bed. But now she has to act like she is a grown woman. So it's just, heartbreaking. It's a devastating time, but it's still happening. It's still happening.
Bongai, can you tell us about the work that you do for young girls here in this country? I know you work with people in your community and in the U.S. generally.
I have a lot of success stories, but Moreen is actually my favorite, but I have other stories. So I have one girl that also was in the program. Her name is Tafazwa. She just graduated 2 years ago. And we started with her when she was in high school, just like Moreen. And she finished high school. She went to college. She graduated about 2 years ago and met her husband when she was in her last year of college. And her husband already went to college also. He graduated 1 year before she did. And then they got married last year. I was supposed to go to the wedding in April 2020, but with the COVID situation, she postponed the wedding thinking that COVID, maybe by June it will be over, but it didn't happen. And she ended up having a small wedding because I said, go ahead and, go get married and go. So she went, but the big wedding will be coming whenever COVID is over. But she is expecting their first child now. And her husband is working. She's not working because she's expecting her child. She will start when she's done. So that's another success story. I have another girl that we also took, through high school. She went to the university. She learned languages, and she's teaching Chinese. She's working as a translator. She moved to Mozambique, which is a neighboring country. So she's teaching English, Chinese, and then Chinese English in Mozambique. It's so many. So I have other girls that are police officers. Some girls are school teachers. Some girls started their own businesses. They are working as, I have another girl who is a chef at a big restaurant, and she went to culinary school. So, I have a lot of success stories.
That's amazing.
I have one story that was not a success, which I can't complain because since I started 2010, I have most of them are success stories. But I had one girl that when she was almost through high school, she got pregnant and got married. So, but the good thing about it is she wasn't married off. She chose to go with this boy, and they got married. Now she's married, but it was her choice. So she's married to somebody that she chose herself. So.
Moreen, can you share with us your experience when you started the program? So I understand not just education, but also, Bongai, you mentioned etiquette and teaching the girls skills. Moreen, if you can share with us, and perhaps Bongai, what, from your perspective, what you provide for the girls.
Okay, thank you so much. So when I joined the organization AAYLF, like that time, I also attended some etiquette classes with Miss B. I learned a lot from that. Like some of us were not exposed to some of the things, like we were taught how to dress, how to eat, everything. Those kind of things can help a girl to see what is really important in life, can help a girl to choose a brighter future, just from knowing like those little things, those simple things. So AAYLF is not only helping girls, putting them to school, but they are teaching them some skills. Like I learned a skill to be an entrepreneur. Actually, I actually learned it from AAYLF. I was probably when I finished school, I would say I want to stay as an employee, but because of AAYLF and the etiquette that they equipped us with, I actually saw a bigger picture in front of me. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to start something for myself, to be an employer, like helping other people to do something in life. So AAYLF actually impacted in a big way in my life.
And you own your own store, right? Children's clothing store?
Yeah, I do. I am actually in the capital of Zimbabwe, in Harare. So the business is booming. There's a lot of people, people want to buy things for their children. I'm also doing interior designing. I love interior designing. So I'm just doing a little bit of something like to into interior designing, because it's something which I like. It's my passion. So it's doing well. It's doing very well.
Well, Bongai, there's an African proverb that's on your site that says, "You are one person, but to that one person, you are the world."
Yes, that's another topic that I like.
Yeah. Can you share with us, Bongai, what besides education that you teach the girls, like what Moreen was saying, but from your perspective?
Absolutely. So besides putting these girls in school, like Moreen said, for example, here in the United States, in PA, where I live, I mainly focus on teaching etiquette, social graces, and leadership skills to the girls that I work with in my local community. But I also take all those programs to Zimbabwe, to the girls in Zimbabwe. So it's more important for me to teach the girls in Zimbabwe, like Moreen said, that they are not exposed to all these things. A lot of girls, they don't even have like an internet connection. So they cannot go on the internet and research and find out what's going on in the world. So I make it a point that the girls that are in the program and anybody who wants to come when I do these workshops, we teach them how to carry themselves, how to present themselves when they are amongst other people. So we teach all kinds of etiquette, dining etiquette, business etiquette, leadership skills, telephone, how to answer a telephone. We teach them attitude, how your attitude can either break you or make you. We teach them personal hygiene. We teach them nutrition skills so that they know whatever you put in your body is going to make or break your body. So we teach them all kinds of things. We just want to make sure that when they finish school, when they are grown women, they got the tools they need so that they can be able to take themselves out there for, when they are entrepreneurs like Moreen, when they are bosses, they know how to talk to people, they know how to treat other people. We just want to make sure that they know that their behavior, they have to mind their behavior around other people. It's all about how you behave around other people. The world doesn't revolve around you. There are other people that live in the world with you. So.
Wow. I mean, just education in itself, but all of those other skills, even about attitude, that's amazing. Yes. Alyssa, do you have further questions?
Bongai, I wonder, is it a challenge bringing the mission of AAYLF to these communities, these rural communities, and finding girls and sort of spreading the word of what you do? Or is the challenge, and perhaps it's a little bit of both, there are so many young girls and it's hard, without the funding and the resources to help all of the girls you want to reach?
Thank you for that question. So it is a big challenge to find resources to be able to help every girl that we need to reach. Getting the girls is the easy part. It's not a problem. I have like hundreds of girls on the waiting list now, but getting sponsors, getting the resources to put all of these girls in school, that's where I get the biggest challenge. Because, it takes money, of course. When you think about it, for me, I can say, $300 a year is not a big deal. But for people in Zimbabwe and other, African countries, it's a lot of money. But that's our biggest challenge. But as far as getting the girls, the teacher that we work with in this particular community, she knows all the girls that live in the area because most of them come to the school, and she knows the parents, in the local areas. So now the people in the community, especially the mothers, they know this teacher now that every day they come to her crying, saying, can you please help me? I have my daughter, my husband is about to marry her off, and I cannot send my child to school. Can you help me? So this is the challenge that we get every single day. And we cannot take everybody on one day. So for me, I have to wait until I get a sponsor. And then we get one girl from the waiting list. We put her in the program. We know that she's safe now. But there are still a lot of girls that are on the waiting list that we are just waiting for somebody to wave their magic wand and say, here, I give you a grant. You can take all the girls and put them in school. But yeah, that's our biggest challenge, getting the funding. And also my other challenge is to get the word out. So I really do appreciate Karen giving us this platform to share this story, to share Moreen's story so people can hear, so that at least people are aware. And then once they are aware, they can do something about it. They can choose to do something about it. But that's one of my biggest challenges. Like, how do I make people aware that this is going on and this is what we need to do for these girls?
Right. I would think that is the challenge, right? And especially trying to educate people in this country about something that's happening, half a world away. So the work that you're doing really is just amazing. And thank you for sharing both what you do and the challenges of making it happen.
Thank you.
Camille, do you have any further questions?
I was just going to ask, as far as the different challenges that you have in getting sponsors and so on, what other things can we do to help you as far as getting more resources that you guys need, especially now with COVID? I wonder if there's any changes needed there that have that you guys or different challenges that you guys have there that are needed.
Okay, that's a great question, because like you said, now we are in the COVID world, and you can think about it, it's difficult here, but at least we can be on the internet like we are doing now. So over there in Zimbabwe, their biggest challenge is that the internet connection is not free like we are doing here. It's not easily accessible. So you have to pay to be on to get the Wi-Fi bundles. Like Moreen, she has, what do they call it, Moreen, that you have so you can be on the internet?
It's a MiFi. We call it a MiFi internet connector.
Yeah, but they have to pay for it. Every month,
Yeah.
They have to pay for it so that they can get the data they need for them to be able to stay online. So for our girls right now, the whole world, the whole country of Zimbabwe is on lockdown right now because of the high number of cases of COVID there. So the president put a lockdown policy from January 1st. I think today was supposed to be the last day. I don't know what the update is going to be. So the girls were now forced to stay at home. And even if they are at home, they still need to do their schoolwork. So you can imagine they need the Wi-Fi bundles for them to be able to be on the computer or on their phones so that they can continue with their education, they can continue to do their homework. So that's another challenge that we go through. I actually had to send some money to the teacher there so she can buy the Wi-Fi bundles for the students, especially the high school girls that need to be on the internet. So we had to send the money to get the Wi-Fi bundles so that they can stay connected with the teachers, connected with their schoolmates, and continue to do their schoolwork. But a lot of girls and a lot of other students, if they don't have the Wi-Fi bundles, now they are not doing anything. They're just sitting at home. And if they're just sitting at home with nothing to do, that even puts the girl at a higher risk of getting married off. Because now the boys are around, the old men are around, the girl is around, she's not in school, she's more prone to men coming to her and doing all sorts of things. And again, at that young age, a lot of the girls, they are not at a position where they can say no or defend themselves. So they are even at a greater risk at this point. But we just pray that they will go back to school soon.
So if our viewers and listeners would like to give donations towards your cause or contact you, how can they do that?
Okay, so they can contact us on our website, which is www.endchildmarriages.org, or you can simply call me. My phone number is 484-356-8935. You can send me an email at donate@endchildmarriages.org. So all those three channels, you can reach me. I'm very easily accessible.
Well, on behalf of the Grateful Goddesses, we will be sponsoring a girl. Yes, we will be doing that. And yes, I mean, absolutely. And it's our hope that our listeners and viewers will feel inclined to do that as well, even if it's just a monthly donation or a small donation. But of course, a larger one can do so much to impact these girls' lives and change, like you said, generations to come. And we are so grateful to you, your work. And Moreen, thank you for sharing your story. That will definitely help our viewers and listeners to really understand the difficulties and challenges that these girls are facing. And thank you for joining us today on Grateful Goddesses.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate sharing our story. Thank you.
Up next, favorite things. Opening up to happiness and joy.
Welcome, everyone, to Favorite Things on Grateful Goddesses. And we're here with Moreen and Bongai, and we're so excited that they're here joining us. So honored and just grateful to all the work that Bongai is doing. So, favorite things. I brought along a photo of my daughters. Well, it's the back of us. And it was a beautiful day. We went on a boat, and I believe this was in Mexico. And we had the privilege of going on this boat one day. Some friends asked us. And they were just being young teenage girls, looking at their phone, looking on their social media. And they let me look over their shoulder. But I have this as my screensaver because it just was a really touching moment for me. And in preparation for this interview today, I was thinking back to my girls when they were 12. And I cannot imagine if they had to be married off like that at such a young age. I mean, I'm so grateful that they have the opportunity to choose their life in a sense and not be pulled away from their dreams. And I'm just so impressed, Bongai, with what the work that you're doing. Alyssa, what did you bring along today?
I have to agree. You're such an inspiration, and both of you, and just so happy to have met you both today. I don't have girls, I have boys. And as Karen and Camille know, today's my birthday. So my favorite thing today are these beautiful flowers that my sons sent to me. One of them lives out of state and one is here, but it is a dreary gray day here in Chicago and the snow is falling. We have had about a foot. So to have these bright, beautiful flowers is really a special treat for me. And I'm very grateful for them. And today thinking of them, and as you do on your birthdays, you think back to your life and you take stock. And I'm just really so happy that they thought of me and brightened my day.
You raised them well.
I try, we're all still a work in progress, but so far so good.
And Camille, what did you bring along?
Well, much like you, I brought a picture of my daughter because she is 12. And I was just thinking, even like my dad, he's 76. So like he's always instilling in me the importance of education, the importance of questioning authority, the importance of instilling those kinds of skill sets in my daughter. And like just this week, he was making a point of saying, have you taught her how to change a tire yet? I'm like, she's 12. So it's like just the idea of it. I was like, I wanted to just how lucky she is that she can be 12 and just like she's dressed up in a Descendants costume for Halloween. Oops, sorry, little notification coming through. But she's dressed up like a kid, she gets to enjoy being a child of 12 and really embrace it and enjoy all of it, like still plays with dolls and just the idea of having to cook and clean and be a wife to someone. So thank you for giving us that perspective of how lucky we have it and how we have to pay it forward to the other women in our lives that may not have it so lucky. So thank you for that.
Moreen, what did you bring today?
Okay, my favorite thing is this gigantic book. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so in this book, we write some little notes, me and my sons, where we are coming from, our future plans, thanking God for everything that He has done for us. So it's actually our favorite. My boys, I'm teaching them how to write. One is 7 and the other one is 4, like teaching them how to be thankful for what we have, like where I'm coming from, like looking at myself, being held by this organization, being who I am today because of AAYLF, just thanking God and writing our future together.
That is beautiful. That is remarkable. Oh, I'm speechless. That is beautiful. Something that everyone should be doing. But honestly, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And Bongai, what did you bring today?
Well, I didn't know I was supposed to bring something.
Sorry.
But, my favorite thing is actually my grandkids. I have 2 sons, and one has 2 girls, the other one has 3 boys. And my grandkids just make my days. They just, every time I think about them or see them, I just forget everything else that's going on around me. My grandsons, they live about 15 minutes from my house, so they come to me every weekend. They didn't come this weekend because they were not feeling well. But when they come, we do a slumber party. We sleep in the living room. We just throw blankets around, and whoever gets a space to sleep, that's where you are sleeping. And I always enjoy that time with them. They are 4, 2. The third one doesn't come yet because he's less than a month old. He was born on January 2nd. So that one stays home with mom.
Thank you for sharing. I mean, I'm imagining them making forts with the blankets and the pillows. That's what kids do. And that's what all children should be allowed to do and not be forced into doing something against their will. And just, again, I have to say thank you. We're grateful to you for the honorable work that you're doing. And Moreen, thank you for sharing your story.
We just want to thank you for allowing us to come here and share these stories. So we thank you so much.
I know that this will have an impact on our viewers and listeners. So thank you.
Thank you.
Unleashed your inner goddess yet? Thanks for joining us today on Grateful Goddesses. We invite you to visit our website, www.gratefulgoddesses.com, to access today's show notes as well as other helpful resources. Don't forget to leave a review. Until next time, stay strong and empowered to be a grateful goddess.